Hi guys, welcome to Magnificent Motors NG. It's been a while you saw me, yeah. Today we'll actually be talking about four important parts in your vehicle that most people actually neglect, right? But before then, if this is your first time, do not forget to turn on post notification. Also, do not forget to follow our channel, like our videos, and also reshare our videos so that your friends, your colleagues can also see what conversations we've been having, right? So let's get into this. We have four parts of the vehicle, four important parts of the vehicle that people actually neglect. People will forget to actually replace these parts or forget to service these parts in terms of the parts that are actually serviceable, right? So these four parts are actually your gear oil, your gearbox or your transmission oil. There's also the differential oil. There's the cabin air filter and there's the engine air filter, right? So we'll talk about these things briefly. So the first one we mentioned is the gear oil or transmission oil. So the transmission or your gearbox actually uses oil. For those who don't know, because I mean, some people would actually tell you they had no idea. But yeah, your gearbox actually uses an oil. The oil actually makes the gears, the little gears inside, um, revolve around themselves without having friction and all that and wearing the parts out very fast. So yeah, so guys, please, you always need to replace your gear oil at intervals. So it's not as frequent as you change your engine oil. The engine oil is actually changed faster, but for the gear oil, you need to know what works for you. So for me, I actually change my gearbox oil once every year. For some people would actually argue that it's too frequent, but that's actually my own maintenance style, right? So what happens when you don't actually change your gearbox oil? So with time, if you don't change your gearbox oil, it can actually lead to complete damage of your gearbox, right? So please always make sure that you monitor your gearbox oil, set your own interval where you need to actually change your gearbox oil, and also speak with your mechanic. Maybe after this video, you can actually call your mechanic to come and actually check the quality of oil you have in your gearbox, if it's due for change or if it's still okay. But one thing you should do is you should speak with your mechanic to actually have, so that you guys can actually have an interval where you just drain the oil in your gearbox and actually change it and put in fresh oil so that that part of your vehicle can actually last. Because the problem is most times what we do is we just look at what we just look at, we don't think about the future. We just look at, oh, what happens immediately, right? So these parts might not actually damage immediately. It might damage with time. It keeps deteriorating. You might not feel it immediately, but with time. But what we're saying is, the more you maintain your car, the longer that vehicle will actually last for you. Yeah. So another part we're actually talking about today is differential system. So there's something called differential system in vehicles that are equipped with four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive system. So you know how we in this part of the world, we always want vehicles that have all the features. Oh, if it's not XLE, please, oh, I beg, now only XLE we want. Yeah. So apart from XLE, oh, if it doesn't have four-wheel drive, it doesn't have 3 rows for SUVs, so yeah. So one important part of vehicles with with four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive system is the differential system. So the differential system is a very important system in these vehicles, because the differential system is actually where power is being divided between the rear tires and the front tires, which actually makes the all-wheel drive system work, or the four-wheel drive system. So this differential system actually uses oil. It's just like the gearbox, but it does a different thing actually. But this system actually uses oil. I know people that have driven their cars, the short, they bought the vehicle, sold the vehicle, and with four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, and they never knew there's something called the differential in these vehicles. They never even knew the differentials actually required oil change, right? So also, just like the gearbox, the differential system is not something that requires very frequent oil change, but then it's definitely something that requires oil change. So guys, please speak to your mechanic. If your mechanic doesn't know what the differential is, then there's a problem. You need to change your mechanic. So guys, please speak with your mechanic and tell him to actually inspect the oil in your differential system. And this is actually for those who have four-wheel drive vehicles and all-wheel drive vehicles. So this actually helps, like I said, split the power between your rear tires and your front tires, right? So if this system gets damaged, it's not a cheap part to replace, and the labor is actually quite tedious. You know, you need to drop a lot of things, sometimes drop the exhaust system, drop the propeller and all that, depending on the kind of vehicle, right? And then it might make your vehicle not to move when the system is actually bad. So what would it take you to actually not have this issue? It just takes you changing the oil once in a while. You know, speak to your mechanic today so that you don't damage your differential system and get into one huge bill, right? So another thing we also we'll be talking about is the cabin air filter. So what does the cabin air filter do? So most people actually neglect this. The same thing, some people don't even know this part actually exists. So the cabin air filter is what filters air that comes in from your AC vents, right? So the air that comes in from your AC vents needs something called a cabin air filter. Your cabin is actually inside the vehicle, so the air filter, so it actually filters dirt or dust coming in through the AC vent. So for most vehicles, it's actually located inside the glove compartment, which is below the front passenger, right? It's most vehicles, it's actually located there. This part is something that has to be replaced from time to time. So if you live in a region where the roads are dusty, dirt and all that, I think you should actually go out there right now, speak with your air condition guy to actually bring it out so that you guys can examine it and see if it's dirty and needs to be replaced. Like I said, I also have an interval where I replace mine. I replace mine every year. Once every year, I replace my cabin air filter. So this actually helps with the kind of air you breathe in when you're driving. You know, if it's dirty and all that, it would actually be polluting the cabin of your vehicle. And outside that, once it's clogged with dirt, debris, dust and all that, it would make your AC not to be as function as it should actually function. Because what happens most time is, oh, you hear someone saying, my AC, they cool well, it's not coming out as it used to come out. It might just be your air filter that's actually dirty, with debris and dust and all that stuff. So guys, please always inspect your air filter. Like I said, the best thing to do, the best way to maintain things is actually when you put in intervals, when you replace these parts or you service these parts. So please today go and check your cabin air filter and be sure it's actually still in good condition. Then one last part I would be mentioning is your engine air filter. So the engine air filter is actually located in the engine bay, in the engine compartment of your vehicle. So what happens? Our engines actually use combustion systems, right? Where it requires air and fuel to actually move the engine, right? So the air coming into the engine actually has a filter so that it doesn't just pick in dust and nonsense from outside and take into the engine, right? So that's the function of the air filter, the engine air filter, to actually filter the air that comes into the engine to mix up with fuel and all that stuff. So yeah, that's another part that needs to be replaced after an interval, because especially for those that live in dirty environment, dusty roads and all that stuff. So I also do mine once every year. So what happens when you don't change that? If it's clogged with dirt, debris and all that, the amount of air coming into your vehicle is limited. So air flow into your vehicle is restricted because it looks like, so for some time, some symptoms you might have is you're trying to accelerate, but it doesn't accelerate. The acceleration is not sharp. It delays to accelerate, right? And some other couple of symptoms you might get. But then what happens is basically when this air filter blocks or gets filled up with dirt, it's hard for the engine to actually breathe in. And if I should put my hands on your nose and make it difficult for you to actually breathe, it's going to be, you would feel somehow. So yeah, let's just use that example for a vehicle. When your vehicle finds it hard to breathe, then it means there will be one problem. There will be different issues from different areas of your engine. So guys, please always remember to replace your engine air filter as well. All these parts, the engine air filter, the cabin air filters, they don't actually cost much. So good thing, you guys, I'm actually supposed to change my air filter, my cabin air filter today. I'm supposed to replace my what's it called, my engine air filter, cabin air filter. I'm also doing an engine oil change and a transmission oil change. So I'll show you guys what the parts I've actually purchased, so you guys just see what it looks like. And outside all this, it's always recommended and it's always good you buy what's it called, genuine parts. You know, buy oil from the manufacturer or a verified distributor, so that you don't put in nonsense into your vehicle. You're always servicing your vehicle, but then you're putting in degraded oil, using degraded parts and all that. It won't make your vehicle last. So find out where you can actually get genuine parts and use these parts, and your vehicle will definitely last long. If there's a particular part, important parts I did not mention in this video, because I'm just saying, talking about 4 important parts, right? If there's any part you feel I didn't mention, you can always put that in the comment section, so that our viewers can actually see and learn from that, right? So guys, let me show you what I have for my own car that I just purchased. These parts I actually just purchased to replace in my own vehicle. Let me show you guys now. So guys, so these are the things I actually just purchased for my vehicle. Like I mentioned, so this is my vehicle is actually an Acura vehicle, and Acura is more like the premium Honda brand. So this is my recommended transmission oil, gearbox or transmission oil. So I have 5 liters, because I'm just doing a drain and refill. So these are genuine parts, these two, yeah. So this is 4 liters plus 1 liter, making it 5 liters. Then once in a while I use this. I'm not actually recommending this to anyone, because some people actually say online that it's a fluke and all that stuff. But once in a while I use engine flush for my engine, mostly when I want to change the oil in my engine, right? I do a flush first. So what this does, what this is supposed to do actually, is to if you have carbon buildups and all that in your engine, it actually cleans them up, and you drain it before you put in a new oil. Then yeah, so this is my cabin air filter. It's a light, it's very light. So this is what the cabin air filter looks like, right? So this is what the cabin air filter looks like. Then this is the engine air filter. So it's sealed, but this is what the engine air filter looks like, right? So I'll be replacing all these parts shortly once my mechanic arrives, guys. So yeah, do not forget to like our channel, like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and also do not forget to reshare this video, right? Thanks very much, and do have a wonderful day and a blessed weekend. Bye guys.